Hi everyone. All nations on our planet have their own peculiarities and traditions and culture. Some of them overlap or merge, and some are completely different. However, there are tribes on our planet with traditions that can astound or even shock a modern man. Some of these tribes are known for their notorious cruelty, others for their own ideas about beauty and very bizarre rites. So, let's take a look at people whose way of life is so different from ours, it defies comprehension. Let's get it on. The Sama Bajau. Have you ever heard of sea nomads?
Whatever you do, don't let these gypsies make you drink.
This ethnic group of people, which includes several indigenous tribes of Indonesia, Malaysia and the Philippines, has perfectly adapted to the maritime environment. They live a nomadic lifestyle, seafaring in the endless Indian Ocean, and spend most of their days fishing. Their life, work and entertainment entirely depend on the ocean. The Sama Bajau are quite philosophical about life too. They settle for less, but at the same time they're perfectly happy. They don't even keep track of their age because it just doesn't matter. They live for the moment. They don't have a concept of time or dates. These people live dawn to dusk, having no clue what electricity is. Can you imagine this lifestyle in the 21st century? The Sama Bajau rarely set foot on land too, only when they need to get fresh water and firewood and sell their catch, build the boats and bury their dead. Sea nomads spend most of their lives on the water and in their stilt houses a few kilometers away from the islands. It's worth noting that the devastating tsunami of 2004 did not harm the Sama Bajau at all. The huge mass of water that brought so much destruction to the coast is harmless in the deep ocean. The waves just passed right through the stilt houses of the sea nomads, leaving them undamaged. But the most amazing thing about the Sama Bajau is their ability to hold their breath underwater for 5 minutes or more. Most people can't do that without suffering permanent or even fatal damage. However, the Sama Bajau, known as skilled divers, have no problem staying underwater for a long time. Scientists have been struggling to explain this unique ability. After all, these Sama Bajau are still humans, just like us. A thorough research helped uncover the mystery, though. It turned out that the secret lies in the DNA of the sea nomads. Researchers claim that these Sama Bajau are adept at freediving thanks to the long work of the natural selection. Their internal organs have actually changed. For example, they have an enlarged spleen, which enables them to spend many minutes underwater. The sea nomads also have some differences at the genetic level too. The Sama Bajau acquired a gene that makes blood divert from the limbs to the vital organs, the brain and the heart. Another gene hampered the production of carbon dioxide in the blood when a Sama diver is underwater. Sometimes nature does some mind-blowing stuff. The Korowai people. This mysterious tribe from the southeastern West Papua in the Indonesian province of Papua was unaware of the existence of any people other than themselves until the 1970s. The Korowai live in an isolated area between the mountains and two large rivers. They number about 3,000, and their way of life hasn't changed for centuries. They have no clue what iron is. They have little to no hardware. They use primitive stone and bone tools for work, and bows and spears for hunting. The Korowai live in small tree houses 20 to 50 meters above the ground. Their houses are made of woven sago palm leaves and bark. The Korowai have large households though, but no tribal heads, military leaders or sorcerers. By the way, the fear of sorcery is what makes the Korowai build their houses so high up. After all, everyone knows that sorcerers and all sorts of evil spirits can't climb trees. As dusk falls, all members of the family climb the flexible vine stairs to reach their houses in the crowns of the giant trees. They hide their pets and food on top as well, out of the sorcerer's reach. Well, predators are a huge concern too. The staple food in the Korowai diet is sago, but a modern man from a big city will hardly find that delicious. The Korowai use everything for cooking: leaves, fruits and wood. For example, they make flour with the stone tools they have, and then add it to the dishes made of larvae, fish, roots and fruits. or to the meat of wild goats and boars. The eggs of beetles, which can sometimes be found in the rotten leaves, are considered a delicacy. They're roasted and served as a main dish for a festive meal. Would you dare try it? With this diet, it's not surprising that the life expectancy of the korowai is pretty low. On average, the median adult ages are 30 for men and slightly more for women. The korowai face many dangers like poisonous insects, wounds and scratches that take too long to heal in a humid climate, and accidents during hunting. And don't forget the diseases brought by the missionaries from the big world. The korowai can die even from a common flu. Still, the korowai live on and continue to amaze the researchers with their traditions. The Asaro tribe. Among the thousands of tribes in Papua New Guinea, the so-called mudmen are one of the most recognized ones. It's not hard to identify the Asaro people. Their bodies are covered with clay patterns, and they wear huge, ghoulish clay masks. Legends say that the Asaro were defeated by an enemy tribe and forced to flee into the Asaro River. They waited until dusk before attempting to escape. When the enemy saw them rise from the muddy banks covered in mud, they thought they were spirits and fled in fear. The defeated tribe could then return to their village. The Asaro decided to use the look to scare their enemies. However, they were unable to cover their faces with the mud, which they believed was poisonous, so they made special masks to disguise as spirits. The masks were pretty scary and weird looking, which fully agreed with the Papuan idea of how the spirits looked. Today, the capital of the Asaro tribe is a small town of Goroka, where the Goroka Show Festival featuring the Mudmen has been held each year since the 1950s. Now the masks are used only for cultural events, and Mudmen are rarely found outside the eastern highlands of Papua New Guinea. The Nenets people. The far north is not exactly the most welcoming place. Think about it. Winter throws wind and snow and frost at you. Summer brings mosquitoes and swamps.
Shut up.
Any city dweller would find such conditions extreme, and it's unlikely they'd survive there. However, for the indigenous people of the north, it's just their everyday life. Just like hundreds of years ago, the Nenets reindeer herders lead a nomadic lifestyle. They live in a chum, a dwelling made of tall poles and reindeer hides. It literally takes half an hour to assemble and dismantle a chum, and this is a perfect option since the herders don't stay in one place longer than 2 to 3 days. During this time, a herd eats away and tramples all the moss in the area, which means the herders need to move on to find more food for the animals. Usually there'll be 1 or 2 families per chum, i.e. roughly 5 to 10 people. Though the chum doesn't boast much space, there are many rules and traditions that each family member must respect. For example, the chum is split into female and male space, and the women and children can't go into the male space. You can't even go around the back of the fireplace, and you absolutely cannot touch some tent poles. The list goes on. Most of these rules might seem bizarre, but the Nenets pass them down from generation to generation. They also have outstanding navigational abilities. Imagine you're in the middle of the tundra with only the endless snowfield to the horizon. Which way do you go? Surely anyone would be lost. Nomads know every hill and every bush like the back of their own hand. They always know exactly where they are and where their friends and relatives are heading, despite long distances and lack of communication. For the Nenets, paying a visit to their friends who are 100 kilometers away from them is just as easy as visiting a neighbor next door for the city dweller, and even if the family leaves while one of its members is away, he'll always be able to find their new camp. The Dogon. The highlands of Bandiagara are known for their unique cliff landscape and amazing Dogon people. The height of some cliffs could reach 600 meters, and the sandy plateau became home for roughly 300,000 people. The Bandiagara escarpment was included in the UNESCO World Heritage List for its unique beauty and historical significance. The Dogon tribe also lives here in the most hard-to-reach areas. They live the same way their ancestors did many centuries ago, without electricity or any means of communications. Their villages with clay houses resemble dwarf dwellings. The Dogon cultivate seeds and vegetables and remain faithful to the ancient traditions of their tribe. Scientists believe that the tribes originally inhabited the Niger River Valley since the era of the pharaohs in Egypt. For a long time, the Dogon people remained secretive, as the tribes intentionally isolated themselves from the outside world in order to maintain their identity and ancestral traditions. Turned out they made the right call. Thanks to the isolation, the Dogon tribes could preserve their unique culture, social structure, and fancy rituals. The Dogon have vast mythology, which features stories about the creator god named Amma, about their half-human, half-snake ancestral water deities Nomo, and many more. They even have sophisticated cosmology beliefs about a multi-layered universe and some astronomical lore, all that despite centuries of complete isolation. Some scientists even claim that the Dogon know much more about the universe than we do, and that they descended from aliens, though these theories have not yet been proven.
Hey, stop being lazy, it's time to use that brain of yours. Welcome to Brain Time. Incredible facts from the past, the present, and even the future. The power of nature and wild animals, amazing facts and unsolved mysteries. You'll find all this and much more here. Subscribe now, you won't regret it.